We are in this meeting today because it's an important moment in terms of the transition. So we are at a point where the regional platform is set up with all our staff recruited, except just for one. And then we are also at a point where countries have now been handed over to OI in the region. So it's an important meeting because we have to do two things. One, we have to develop the practical steps on how we take forward our vision, which we had set up in October. But at the same time, it's also to develop the stepping stones on how we operate the model and be able to deliver within a new context and a new model. So again, the capacity to be able to do that sits with our country directors and the country teams, and that's why we quickly brought them together so that we can set ourselves ready to go. It's an important meeting in terms of shaping the future, and I think our future is continuing to shape. Our ambition is to be able to develop a more connected region and begin to shrink the regional space. So at the moment we have a clear platform, but I see ourselves in 2 years shrinking the regional space and growing the country base. And we see our countries playing two roles. One of them is that they have to play as safe point centers of delivery for programming, but we want them to grow up to be centers of excellence and leadership, so that they can begin to host a real capacity and expertise that can be shared regionally. So we know it's a lot of work, and one of the things which has been spoken quite loud is the fact that people are spending a lot of time internally and maybe programs are not moving as much. But what we have decided in this meeting, which I think is a great contribution by the team, is that we should find ways of shielding the program as much as we can. So we came up with the concept of insulating. Okay, so we'll have a group of people who are insulators. Those are the guys that will be on the forefront developing the model, and as much as possible spare a team that will continue to run with the programs and get them less involved in developing the models, and then only meet occasionally to share what has come out. We think by doing that we will be able to have programs going with more energy, while a smaller team is continuously working on the changes that are going on in the region.
And my role as a country director for Zambia is to make sure that I'm carrying along some of my staff, actually all of my staff, to be a part of the change process. So it's being able to paint that vision of the Oxfam that we want, and making sure that they are on board and that no one is left behind and that no one feels disadvantaged, but that they can also find their space and their role in the change process. And so we've done quite some hard thinking here of what we should be doing as a region, and then we will be sharing this with a wider confederation so that they can see and pick lessons from what Southern Africa is all about.
We are looking at a number of issues, particularly as we're transitioning into Oxfam 2020 in the region. As you're aware, the Southern Africa region is a lab, and we're still grappling in terms of how do we deliver this, particularly what agreements do we have on our ways of working. So we're here basically to try to brainstorm on those, and basically looking at how shall we be seen outside by the other stakeholders, but at the same time being relevant to the other stakeholders that we're working with. I think in particular, the beneficiaries that we've been supporting over the years, we don't want to lose that. So we want to come up with ways of working that will still be relevant to the wider society, to the wider communities, and the countries where we are delivering the programs. We are looking at a number of issues, so things like shared services that will be there for the different countries in the region, but looking at how, for example, do we manage humanitarian when it happens within the region. But then at the same time, we realize we do have an affiliate which is based in the region, and that's OZA. Where do they come in? How do we work together? They do have a pivotal role in the region, like they are a member of the G20, they are a member of the BRICS. How does that benefit the countries that we're working with? But when you look at the other issues as well to do with say fundraising, how do we manage our finances, and how does all that fit together within the different countries that we're working in? And these are things that we thought we need to come together, brainstorm, and see how best we would get solutions on the same.
The Oxfam 2020 process is not a fixed process. We need to be actor of change from a country perspective, but also from a regional perspective. We have tried to innovate within the SAF region on creating the Connect model, which give another role to the country directors, because we then need to be influential not only in our country, but take in consideration what is going on in the neighbor country. For the case of Mozambique, we have been leading on extractive industry, and what we see that during these meetings, we can see that it has been so far successful. We are still in the middle of our objectives, meaning that we need to invest more. We need to invest more energy, but also to ensure that the Connect model bring the outcomes that we are hoping for. It's really important for us that the country directors are fully part of the senior leadership team to be able to shape the future systems that we want to put in place. The Oxfam 2020 model is clearly a good opportunity. We want to influence outside of our boundaries. So working with the other country in Southern Africa is already a first step.
The Connector model is something that's being piloted by the SAF region, where a group of thematic specialists are hosted in different countries within SAF to support the technical capacity on particular thematic areas. For SAF, it's governance, gender, extractives, and markets, and there are 4 people that have been employed as connectors to support that model. We work as part of the region, so it's really exciting to be here as part of this regional meeting regional colleagues for the first time who have newly been recruited. It's also an opportunity to think about what's working well in the Connector model so far and reflect on where we could be making improvements.
We're here this week to talk about what that looks like for Oxfam. What is our added value in the region? How do we generate knowledge? How do we amplify knowledge? And how do we ensure that knowledge filters its way down into how countries are organizing? The added value for me about being part of a regional structure is strengthening women's rights movement building. It's very important for me as a regional gender lead, and there's been a demonstrated support and political leadership from all of the country directors, deputy country directors, regional structures to realize that as part of Oxfam's 2020 vision.
This meeting has been a very interesting one because it's the second meeting of the regional OI team that I participated. The October meeting was the first one, and this one is the second one, and it's a kind of continuation of what was decided strategically for the region in the October meeting. And then this one, it has been an update of the things that they have been deciding and focusing in how different ways of how we are going to implement our work under new models of operation. For example, I work for OGB, who is the executive affiliate in Zambia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe, and it's going to be here. And also, OGB, it's going to be a PA, a partner affiliate, as other affiliates in the region, working in the countries. And how is this role are going to be developed, and how this role are going to be evolved in the future is something that we are trying to decide. And then in this meeting, the information about those 2 roles, it has been discussed. And what is the thing that has more impression on me? It's that everybody wants to really think in a different ways of working.